Hello, biomedical students. Hope you are fine. Today, I'll give just a small lecture on the PowerPoint presentation that I have posted 2 days before. Hope you have gone through the slides. I will give a small explanation about the slides so you can understand it easily. So this presentation deals with Unit 3, the ceramic biomaterials, or you can call it as bioceramics. So you can study in this unit about the implants made up of ceramic biomaterials in detail. The next slide. So this slide explains the uh, definition of ceramics. So it is here the definition: inorganic solid material composed of metal or non-metal or metalloid atoms primarily held in ionic and covalent bonds. So if you see a ceramic, generally the bonding is ionic and covalent bonds. It is made up of a metal or non-metal. So here an example is given for a ceramic material: aluminum oxide or calcium oxide, silicon nitride. So if you see, aluminum is a metal and oxygen is a non-metal, so it forms a ceramic material. For example, another example is calcium oxide. So these are all the general properties of ceramic materials. It has typical crystalline nature, usually in inorganic, highly inert, hard and brittle, high compressive strength, generally good electrical and thermal insulators, good aesthetic appearance, transparency to light. So this is the definition of ceramics and the general properties of ceramics. So this next slide gives the explanation about the definition about bioceramics. So the class of ceramics used for repair and replacement of diseased and damaged parts of the musculoskeletal system, or referred to as bioceramics. So what is musculoskeletal? Musculoskeletal is nothing but deals with muscles and skeleton. The study deals with muscles and skeleton, that is, for example, bones and joints. So that is called musculoskeletal. So this is the definition of bioceramics. So here you can see the different applications of bioceramics: bone cement, bone scaffold. It is used as an implant coating. It is used as a prosthesis crown. So these are all the different applications. You can find what is meant by a scaffold, what is meant by a prosthesis crown. You can Google it and you can find what its meaning. So here it is the definition and the different applications of bioceramics. So here it's given the advantages and disadvantages of bioceramics. There are the three advantages: biocompatible, wear resistant, lightweight. So what is wear resistant? Wear resistant is nothing but when you implant a bioceramic material in the human body, it will not get fractured by the friction. It will fractured or damaged by the friction. That is called wear resistant. Here you can see the disadvantages: low tensile strength, difficult to fabricate, low toughness, and not resilient. So what is resilient here? Resilient is nothing but it's like Young's modulus. Suppose you are giving a strain to the material, it will absorb a stress, so it will get deformed. Suppose you remove the strain, automatically the material compacts to its original shape. That is called resilient. How the material behaves to the stress and how it regains its original shape, that is called resilient. So toughness, difficult to fabricate, low tensile strength. So these are all the disadvantages. The next slide deals with types of bioceramics. Here you can see the types of bioceramics. So if you take bioceramics, there are three types of bioceramics: bioinert, bioactive, bioresorbable. There are the three types of bioceramics. You have to study detailedly about what is bioinert, what are all its properties, what are its applications, how it is prepared. Same bioactive materials, what are its properties, what are its applications, how it is prepared. Same like bioresorbable. So we can study one by one. First we can detailedly study about bioinert bioceramic materials in detail. So the next slide, this gives the few explanation about what is bioinert ceramic materials, what is bioactive ceramic materials, what is bioresorbable. So if you see bioinert ceramics materials, there is no reaction. If you implant the bioinert ceramic material, it will not react with your body tissues. Fibrotic tissues may be formed. So what is fibrotic tissues? maybe you come across this word. It is nothing but damaged tissue. Fibrotic tissue means it is a damaged tissue. So next we can see bioactive. It forms when you implant a bioactive ceramics, it forms a bond between implant and tissue inside your body. If you implant a bioresorbable material, dissolution and substitution with the healthy tissue is formed. So what is dissolution? Dissolution is nothing but dissolve. It will dissolve quickly. It will get dissolved. So these are all the different natures of the bio-inert ceramics, bioactive ceramics, and bioreabsorbable ceramics. So first we can study about bio-inert ceramic materials. So this is some of the some of the examples of three different types of bioceramics: bio-inert, bioactive, biodegradable. So if you see bio-inert, aluminum oxide, zirconium oxide, carbon, sintered hydroxyapatite, silicon nitride, these are all some of the examples of bio-inert ceramics. If you see bioactive, HA, hydroxyapatite, bioglass, so glass ceramics. So here if you see biodegradable, examples are calcium sulfate, coral calcium carbonate, calcium phosphate, and there is some other examples: tricalcium phosphate, beta tricalcium phosphate, octo calcium phosphate, dicalcium phosphate. So here we can study about bio-inert ceramics. The next slide. So here if you see carbon, so carbon is one of the example of bio-inert bioceramics. So if you see, carbon may exist in several forms, some of which show good chemical inertness, excellent biocompatibility, practically no thrombogenicity. So what is thrombogenicity? Thrombogenicity is nothing but thrombus. So when you implant a bio-inert material or any material, it will react with the blood and forms a blood clot. So that is called thrombogenicity, blood clot. So here when you implant a carbon material, there will be practically no thrombogenicity. So carbon is the material of choice in all implantable devices in contact with blood. Most applications has coatings of different nature. So these are all some of the factors determine the properties of carbon. What are the factors? Degree of perfection, crystalline structure, morphological arrangements of the crystallines, and pores. These are the four factors which determines the properties of carbon. So here if you see, it is mentioned as allotrophic forms of carbon. So what is allotrophic form? It is nothing but different forms of carbon. So if you take carbon, it exists in mostly three different forms. The first one is diamond. So diamond, if you see this picture, you can see this is the picture of a diamond, external structure. So now here in the left side, if you see the internal structure, so here it consists of tetrahedral structure. The atoms are bonded in a tetrahedral structure. See, the yellow color ball is carbon atoms, so it is linked like a tetrahedral shape. So here three-dimensional continuous covalent network of tetrahedral linked atoms in sp3 hybridization. So this tetrahedral is formed by the sp3 hybridization. So what is sp3 hybridization? So 1 2s orbital and 3 2p orbitals mixed to form a tetrahedral shape, that is called sp3 hybridization. Okay, hope you understand what is meant by diamond and what is sp3 hybridization. So next slide we can see another form of carbon, that is graphite. So atoms in sp2 hybridization regularly arranged in planes made up of hexagons. So here graphite is nothing but hexagon shape. The atoms are arranged by sp2 hybridization, that is carbon atoms are arranged in a hexagonal shape. In diamond it is a tetrahedral shape, it is a hexagonal shape by sp3 hybridization. So what is sp3 hybridization? 1 2s orbital and 2 2p orbitals mixed to form a hexagonal shape, that is called as graphite. In graphite you have three layers: the first layer, second layer, and third layer, three hexagonal layer. So here we can see how the bonding is formed in graphite. So here you can see, considering three planes adjacent to or offset while the first and the third coincides. So this is the first plane, second plane, the red one is second plane, here the third plane. So the first one and the second plane does not form a bond, the first one and the third one forms a bond. So what is the bonding in the graphite? It's van der Waals force. It forms a bond by van der Waals force. So this is graphite. So next one is turbostatic carbon. So turbostatic is another type of carbon, allotropic form of carbon. So microstructure without long range order, though not very different from the ordered graphitic form. So turbostatic carbon is also same like graphite, but it has a disordered structure that we can see in the next slide. So here you can see among all the carbons, mostly used carbons in medical devices is turbostatic carbon. So among the three different carbons, turbostatic carbon is mostly used. That is among when you compare diamond, graphite, turbostatic carbon is mostly used. So these are all the different explanations about turbostatic carbon. We can study about the properties, atom vacancies, crystalline structure, 100 nanometer in turbostatic carbon, the crystallines will be in 10 nanometer. Here you can see clearly what is the difference between graphite and turbostatic carbon. The first one is graphite. So here you can see the three layers in order. First one, second one, third one. It is in order shape. But here it is not in order, disordered shape. The bonding is not very easy. The disordered shape you can see clear now. Turbostatic carbon. So here you can see graphite. It's in order. The three layers are in order. So here it is not in order. The last one, the last picture, this picture sheet shows the so directly you cannot implant the carbon material. You should have a substrate here. This is your carbon material. You have to coat your carbon material over the substrate by some physical methods. The substrate may be a metal or plastic. You have to coat your carbon material over the substrate. Then you can implant in your material the human body. So this are so mostly turbostatic carbon is used in the human implant. So other than graphite and diamond. So the turbostatic carbon, you have the three types of turbostatic carbon: pyrolytic carbon, vitreous carbon, and vapor deposited carbon. So you have to study in detail how the pyrolytic carbon is prepared, how the vitreous carbon is prepared, what are all its applications, how the vapor deposited carbon is prepared, how its applications. So among the three different allotropics of carbon, diamond, graphite, and turbostatic carbon, the turbostatic carbon is mostly used in the medical devices. So the turbostatic carbon is classified into three types: pyrolytic, vitreous, and vapor deposited carbon. So the next explanation about the turbostatic carbon, I will post the next video. Hope you understand some explanation about this PowerPoint. I will post the next video discussing about the different types of turbostatic carbon.